Okay, welcome to Unraveling Relationships, Emotions, and Desires. I am your host, Dr. Sheila Hodgman-Dover. We will continue the essential conversation with Shanti Hubbard. Shanti is a force of resilience, wisdom, and unshakable strength. Shanti Hubbard, a licensed professional counselor, is a therapist with the mind of a scientist, the heart of a healer, and the lived experience of a warrior. Shanti's journey is nothing short of extraordinary, from groundbreaking research to surviving domestic violence while raising three amazing children, and even earning a second master's degree in the midst of it all. She's turned pain into power, fear into advocacy, and trauma into transformative healing. Whether she's guiding survivors through neurofeedback therapy, or dropping truth bombs about abuse, grief, and reclaiming your worth, Shanti's voice is a beacon of hope and defiance. Buckle up for part two of this interesting conversation. It's about to change lives. Shanti, I am honored to have you back to continue this interesting conversation. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
It's my pleasure. So let's continue where we left off before lunch. Your children witness both violence and extraordinary resilience. What lessons about grief, recovery, and self-worth do you hope your kids will follow? And how do you parent consciously to break the cycle you've spent your career studying?
I really help my kids understand boundaries at a young age. We talk about consent all the time because consent is not just used for sexual experiences. Consent is for everything. So
Mhm,
even the typical kid stuff, oh, he's touching me, it's becomes a, did you ask for permission to touch them? Did
mhm.
you ask for permission to be in their space? When someone tells you, I have my kids all have their own rooms, so if somebody tells you to leave their room, that is their room, and you need to respect that. Um, with their mother being a therapist, certain things, sorry, we got to do. So I have feelings charts around the house. So if we have a feeling, go point to it. If we can't verbalize, go point to the face that goes with it. I actually recently got a game that helps navigate emotions. It's kind of like chutes and ladders, but with emotions. So you land on the emotion and you have to say a sentence that has that emotion. And then it also has coping cards. We've only played it once, but definitely going to be something we keep playing.
Good.
Uh,
Have you ever played the emotional bingo game? Do you have that? A copy of that one?
for them, no,
Yes.
we
Okay.
played it yet.
Good. I like it.
You like that one?
Yes. But I like the latter. I love the latter one most of all. It's just I think that one tops all.
It's so fun. Like it was really fun, and my youngest was super excited to play it, and I was like,
Mhm.
"You're the reason I bought the game." But okay, yay. Um, my biggest thing is having that open ability for dialogue.
Mhm.
If there is something that I feel like I can't put to a childlike level, I let them know that we are going to talk about it when they get older. Which of course they respond with, "Well, I am older right now." I'm like, not 2 seconds. Um, I told them at when my oldest and second one reach 16 and 15, we're gonna have a very, very different kind of conversation. But as much as I can, I try not to push certain conversations off, and I want my kids to ask me because I feel like I wasn't able to ask certain questions without getting not shut down completely, but I knew it was something I couldn't talk about. So I don't want the secrets. Like you were there, you were a part of it, you deserve to know this is part of your story too. To open honest dialogue and boundaries, the biggest
Good,
thing.
good. Okay, so the defendant's family, what kind of relationship you have with them and how did they respond to that near-death experience?
Well, during our relationship, like I was way closer to them than my own family. Like I truly saw them as the family I wish I had, the family I always wanted in certain areas. As far as like his mother. She and I would talk way more than my own mother. I talked to her every day. I used to beg her to move in with me. Like, so you want to live here, right? So your grandkids are here. Used to beg her. Now it is different. Like when we do just have regular conversation, and we're still able to talk like we used to. We still joke and do all those things, but there are moments where victim blaming has been a huge thing. She told me I should have put my foot down harder when we had a big conversation about what life was going to look like when I moved back to Texas. And I told her about a couple of incidents that had happened at my house, and she looked me in my face and told me I should have put my foot down harder. It's not how that works.
Oh,
But I also posted my victim impact statement after the trial. So, well, we didn't actually make it to trial, but he took a plea deal. I read my victim impact statement and then I waited until the very last day of March, which is Women's History Month, to highlight that women's history is so deeply rooted in a lot of things, but unfortunately, pain is a big one. Um, a big quote that I always use, it's being honest about my pain that makes me invincible. And I want people to know that even though things look okay, like I have done a lot of great things since this has happened. It hurt a lot, and many people don't know about the smaller things that were going on.
mhm,
So when I posted it, his mother commented on it, and she said a lot of negative things. My friends and family weren't too happy about that. Many of them didn't say anything, but my very best friend, she made a comment, and she's the main one that doesn't actually respond to stuff. But she was like, when someone is vulnerable about their things, long story short, when someone's vulnerable about their things, we should just give them space and listen.
yep.
We should honor that they're saying something hard, and
Mhm,
that's it. To which she responded back with not full truths. She mentioned that he and I were still having sex, which we were not after the incident. Like my victim impact statement was strictly about the incident that happened and my emotional and physical toll since then. So
mhm,
we were not having sex during that period.
mhm,
We did have sex, I want to say like a year and a half after, one time. I was in a very low point, but it's been one time in 2 years. Um, she made comments that he and I got a matching tattoo. We got a matching tattoo before we got married, and then we kind of got a matching tattoo after my dad died.
mhm,
And I had talked to him about a matching tattoo after, but we did not get one.
mhm.
So she said a lot of negative, unkind things on my post after saying a victim impact statement. She made it about her. She said she felt disrespected.
Yeah,
I
are you
didn't.
talking about social media?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So all of this is public. I did not say anything about my victim impact statement negatively about her. All I said was that the incident happened at her house, and I continued to have to pick up my kids at that same house for months. And that was really hard for me. When I asked her how it was disrespectful towards her, she said, it just was. That's how I feel. I'm like, but you're not telling me how. I even said in there that we were family. I still consider them family.
Mhm,
But I constantly got told, well, he's going through this. He's doing this. He can't find a job, which he can, but he chose to DoorDash, and they're calling that a job. Um, but it was all about the negative impacts on him. And after the next day, so February 11th, she asked me how I was, but she wasn't really able to hear me because I didn't have a voice, literally. Since that day, she has not asked me how I was. And that's okay. I get it. Like, that's your son. But I'm allowed to talk about how it's hurt me. So
mhm,
our relationship dynamic has definitely changed. I actually found out some other stuff about her during the course of this court, the court process related to the incident. Um, a lot of bad things were said about me to family from her. And it hurt. It hurt a lot because she does know quite a bit about me. But when it comes down to certain bonds, I understand that people will hold family to a tougher, well, to a stronger bond than sometimes the truth.
yep.
And I've never lied about anything that I've done or any incident that's happened between he and I. I've owned my parts in it, my negatives, my flaws, but that doesn't mean that somebody isn't, that anyone deserves what I've been through with him. So it hurts many times to not have that family that I thought I did. But lately, I've been seeing that that's been necessary for me to move on because I felt
Right.
like a tie.
So you've given yourself permission to grieve over the loss of that relationship?
Yes. After the incident happened, like I used to, all the kids' birthday parties, everybody would come, even after we got divorced. When the incident happened, I said, we are no longer going to have birthday parties together. So that was a big deal for me because I know I couldn't have that growing up, and it meant so much that I was able to do that for mine. They were able to see no matter what we're going through, like we can still be family. It doesn't have to be weird.
Mhm.
But I had to change that. His grandmother passed not that long ago. I went to the
Ah,
funeral.
that's good.
I went to the funeral to be there for my kids.
Yes, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Actually, this is the first birthday that his mother and sister are gonna come to. He can't, but his mom and sister are gonna come to this one.
Okay. So who called the police after the incident on that
It
day?
was me. Um, but I did not call right away. I was worried. I'm sorry. I was worried that not immediate. Well, I was worried that some family members were not going to be happy with me reporting, so I wasn't going to initially.
Mhm.
But before my kids went back to them for the weekend, I needed to know if they felt safe and if they wanted to go. And if they didn't, I would have made a whole lot of changes.
Okay.
Um, but my oldest and youngest at 8 and 7 looked at me that Sunday night and asked me why I didn't call the police. And
Wow.
it was that that showed me I've instilled enough understanding of right and wrong in my kids that they know it doesn't matter how I'm related to this person. It doesn't matter who this person is to me, to the other person. When wrong is done, this is what you do.
That's right.
So that that was on a Sunday. On Wednesday, I went to the police station and made a report.
Yeah. Did you also go to the hospital?
I did. So that part I always knew was more important. So I needed to get checked out. The incident happened that Friday night. By Saturday afternoon, I got worried because like my voice was already really raspy, but I had stopped being able to swallow. Like I had swallowed my spit and I almost choked. And it was just me and my kids.
Mhm.
I didn't want them to have to witness their mother die like that. So I took them to their cousin's mom's house and I went to the hospital to get a forensic exam because working in DV, I also know the steps that should be taken, that can be taken, more importantly.
Mhm.
And I requested that. So I knew even if I didn't choose to report, I would have that on file.
That's
So I
good.
absolutely got checked.
It's good that you did the right thing. Was that a hard decision to call the police?
After what my kids said, no. Before, yes.
Before, yes. Okay. 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 So who was more upset with you calling the police?
His mother.
What did she say to you?
So after I spoke to the officer, he said he was going to take the information to the DA, see if they were going to pick it up. He had to call the my ex-husband because he had to get it for the report, and he had to call his mother because the incident happened at her house. So he called, I don't know who he called first, but he called my ex-husband and he said that we got into an argument and he pushed me. And then his mother's, when he said, calling about the incident that happened with your daughter-in-law and your son, and she was like, who? And then he said my name, she hung up.
Wow.
Yeah, she hung up on him. So that is also a record. She hung up and officer told me this. Later, she, no, the next day, because I was going to pick up the kids that Monday too, because it happened to be Valentine's Day. Um, she had asked me if I would just counsel my daughter myself And I said, I like my license, so no, I'm not going to do that because my daughter had actually requested me to find her a therapist.
Mhm.
Um, so I said, I'm not going to do that. And she asked if we could keep it in-house because of her job.
Really?
Yes, she asked if we can keep the incident in-house. I told her, well, I already went to the hospital. And she was like, "Oh, what they say?" I'm like, "Hmm, okay."
She
Well,
wasn't concerned about your health at all.
no, it was about the fact that the kids were there. There has to be a CPS case. So they called CPS. It got open and closed because the children were not in danger. But I did let them know that she does work for CPS, so they made sure that that file was closed.
That's ironic.
It's super ironic, but people will prioritize certain things about themselves over other people. And it more so hurt me that she prioritized herself over my daughter because my daughter's like her whole world. So it hurt that you wanted me to shush about my daughter's pain, but it tracks as far as patterns of behavior because he never got the help he needed growing up. So why should my kid be any different?
Hmm. That is sad.
Very.
Mhm. So this has been a journey of courage and resilience. So let's talk about how you've reclaimed your power. You've earned a second master's degree and this time you took it in forensic psychology during this turmoil. Was that an act of defiance, healing, or both? And how did it reshape your advocacy?
So actually, I started getting it way before the incident happened. I got it. I applied the summer before, no, the summer, I'm sorry, the summer after my father died. Um, Education is really big for me, and I always wanted to get a PhD. And I wanted my dad to look at me and call me Dr. Hubbard too. So when he died, I wasn't sure if I was ever going to go back to school because that it hurts that I won't be able to hear those words from him. Um, but I know how much I love school and I know how much it makes me happy. So I applied then. I actually applied because as a domestic violence sexual assault therapist, my clients sit on my couch and they have to go through the criminal justice process. And it is confusing. They teach us about fairness growing up, but that's one word, that's one of the two words in my house that's not allowed. We don't say fair and we don't say crazy. Um, but they teach you that the world is supposed to be fair. And the criminal justice system shows you the opposite.
Mhm.
So because they're sitting there and they have all these questions that I don't have the answer to, I didn't like not having the answer. So I actually went to get that degree so that I could explain to them what's supposed to happen, what does happen in layman's terms. So I did it for my clients.
How do you focus on a degree and dealing with ongoing trauma? Actually,
School,
actually, you did 2 degrees while focusing on ongoing. You
I
did
did, yeah.
two master's degree while focusing on ongoing trauma. How do you do that? How do you stay focused?
Well, ironically, actually, we could say 2.25 because my senior years when I was pregnant with my daughter of undergrad, I was pregnant with my daughter and he did cheat on me during that period. So it was figuring out if I wanted to stay married, what that would look like. School is genuinely my happy place. My first master's, I got a 4.0 while dealing with him being deployed for, I want to say like 6, 7 months. Um, 7 months. Uh, 3 kids at 3, going to school, being sexually abused almost every other night at one point. Um, Verbal abuse,
Well,
financial abuse, which financial abuse is the number one form of abuse.
mhm.
Um, when I'm in school, when I'm doing my schoolwork, everything else just goes away. Like I get to be happy for those moments, taking in knowledge that is objective, even when it does, because psychology, you can't run away from it. But even when it does have something to do with me, it's that thirst for knowledge that I've always had that makes me happy.
Cool. I love that. Okay, so the degree wasn't an act of defiance,
No.
but part of it, I believe, I'm judging rightly, it helps you heal. It's therapeutic for you. Most people would say, I cannot study, I cannot focus, I'm too stressed with my trauma. And you're like, nope, this is my escape.
But yeah, the even the weekend that it happened, so it happened on that Friday. I had an assignment due on Sunday, and I finished it. It was turned in on time. I actually finished. So my first master's, I finished with a 4.0. My second one, I finished with a 3.9, 3.8, something like that. I only got a B in one class.
But
It that drive of now I know about the criminal justice system, so when the ADAs weren't reaching out in time, because we ended up in the course of this, I want to say four different ADAs. I have a good relationship with
can
one
you
of the,
describe what ADA means for the
oh,
people?
I'm sorry, assistant district attorney.
Okay.
I have a good relationship with the assistant district attorney in Lawton because I also testified as a expert witness for a rape trial. So I would ask them questions like, how is this supposed to be going? Are they actually doing this right? Like, what is this process? And it always helps somebody when you're able to explain it on your level. So me getting this degree also helped me have it on that level, along with working in the field that I do and being able to be on the stand, not as a victim.
Mhm.
Um, but the degree, I would say, just it helped. I won't, and it's sad to say, but I think it helped the assistant district attorneys that I did talk to respect me in a different way.
Mhm.
And when things weren't said or done the way I felt like should have been, I was able to advocate for myself and I knew exactly what I needed to ask for.
Mhm.
Like the me giving my victim impact statement, they didn't offer that. I asked for it. Even though I have the right,
Yes.
I asked to do it.
Yes. I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
So, as a therapist, you use neurofeedback and TFCBT. Did you turn these tools on yourself? Uh-huh.
So my two modalities that I use for talk therapy are TFCBT as well as REBT, so rational emotive behavior therapy, which
Mhm.
is a form of CBT. But I'm big on there's two parts of this. Like there's the rational side of your brain and the emotional side of your brain, but you need to understand both in order to heal.
Mhm.
Like I tell my clients all the time, like it's not always about changing each behavior, but you need to know where it comes from so that you can feel those senses of control come back. Um, to move and navigate, not as just, oh, I'm doing things, you're choosing it. Um, for neurofeedback, in order to get, like during my training, we have to perform it on ourselves. So I got a brain scan done on myself. I had to run sessions on myself. My brain scan did confirm that I am traumatized. So that was validating.
Did you have to pay for the brain scan?
No, because I was doing it.
Man, this is exciting.
And because I started doing neurofeedback in domestic violence agency, the clients didn't have to pay for it either.
So
Currently,
who paid for this neurofeedback training?
we get grants. Well, the training came as part of my job. Like I had to be trained in order to do it.
I guess
But
I need to get a job like that to get the training for free then. Oh my gosh, that is cool.
but where I work now, it is the clients do have to pay for it. So
Wow.
it's a different environment. Not working nonprofit does change a lot of things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
One day I'll go back, but I have three kids.
Yeah.
Um, but for neurofeedback, I did have to run sessions on myself, and I genuinely think it did help me with my PTSD symptoms that I was experiencing after the incident because I did get the scans and the sessions after the incident.
Oh, okay.
So it helped with my hypervigilance. It helped me regulate my nervous system quicker. Not saying triggers didn't happen and I didn't experience things, but it helped resolve it a lot quicker because I was
Did you,
having panic attacks often.
okay, did you learn of Dr. Amen's studies?
No,
Oh, okay. Well, we could talk about that another time because he uses the scans on every client before.
every client.
Yeah, before he performs any treatment, he does a scan before and during and after. So
No.
I love that approach to treatment. It's amazing.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
This makes sense. What practices, professional or personal, anchored you during this time?
What do you mean practices?
Like, what do you do to keep yourself sane?
Depending on who you talk to, they would argue if I am or not. Um, I'm weird. So this isn't the weird part. I love Disney,
Okay.
everything Disney. Love watching Disney movies, can quote almost all of them, especially the old ones. I also love horror.
Wow.
Yeah, two opposite sides of the spectrum. But I did a training one time and I introduced, like, we had to do role playing or whatever. And I pretended ish that I was somebody that loved watching horror films. And of course, the person naturally was like, well, maybe we need to watch something positive and da da da. So after we were debriefing, and I explained if that works is what works for someone, don't try to change that for them
Uh-huh.
because you don't know why it works. Now you can inquire about why it works.
Uh-huh.
For me, I've made it make sense to other people
Okay.
that in a horror movie, you know what's coming. You see the evil, it's very clear in front of you. And most of the time, there is a happy ending, but the happy ending comes from justice. When your
Oh,
life is a
okay.
horror film, you don't get that justice, but when you watch it on the
Oh,
TV, you can see that it's possible.
I I see. Okay, because I would tell you, I protect my brain so much that I would never watch a horror movie. You cannot pay me enough to watch a horror movie.
And there reached a point in my life, especially from this, I couldn't go to sleep if a horror movie was not playing on the TV while I was sleeping.
Oh, interesting.
Mhm.
So
Like if I
how,
was watching a happy movie, I would have nightmares.
imagine that.
Mhm.
What could be a trigger for another person is does the opposite for you. Because
Um,
everybody is different. Because most people would want something happy
mhm.
to help them relax and fall asleep. But for you, happiness, because your life wasn't really happy, when you go to sleep, it brings out the trauma in a
Yeah,
different form.
yeah, because it
Okay.
wasn't real. The happiness isn't real, it's a fantasy. I need I need reality.
Okay. How do
That's
you redefine worth after abuse?
I've taken a lot of time to work on myself. I made sure I didn't get in another relationship right after my divorce, not only because we were still being physically and emotionally intimate, but because I needed to know that I was worthy enough for a good relationship, that I didn't deserve all the things that happened to me. Like I said, people say that out loud and they throw it out there, but you have to believe it. And I didn't believe it for a long time. So I took the time to figure out what are the negative things I think about myself. What are the positive things I think about myself? And am I able to logically hold on to these negative things? Like, are they actually true or are they just what I've been told?
Mhm.
And that's what I ask my clients to do too. Nobody is asking you for perfection because you're going to be reaching for something that doesn't exist. But you do need to know the things that you need to work on and then find out evidentially if those are true. So my worth, I find in one, being intelligent. I believe I'm a great friend, and my friends have confirmed. um, I believe it took a while to accept this one, but I believe I am a good mother. I'm a
Oh,
great
wait,
therapist.
I'm going to interrupt. I know you are a good mother. Let me correct.
Thank you. And now I do know it because one, they're more verbal, but when we watch something, especially like Disney movies where the mom is being extra or the mom is being different, it's sad, but my kids go, would your mom do that? And I'm like, we go there, but like, hold on. I'm glad that y'all think that I wouldn't do that. And my middle one, he's so straightforward to the point, honest, literal. You're a great mom. I know you would never do that. I'm like, oh, took that off of me. Thank you. And
Yeah.
my youngest, like when we go to bed, I make sure I tell them I love them specifically to them in our own ways. My youngest says, I love you more than anyone in the galaxy.
Oh, that is so cool.
And that's a big deal because that one is a literal ball of love,
Mm-hmm.
which also means a ball of a lot of emotions. But like he's a giant ball of love. And to hear him, because he used to say, I love you more than anybody in the world. And he
Mm-hmm.
was like, no. He told himself, like I heard the whole thing out loud. He told himself one day, that's not enough. I
That's
love you more than anybody in the galaxy. And I'm like,
cool. I love that. I love that.
I'm doing it right.
Yeah. Now, Shanti, you are one of the most not just intelligent, but skillful, successful, efficient, and effective therapists I know. During all of this time that you've been going through years of abuse while helping others, did you also seek professional help?
I did. I absolutely made sure I did. I've actually been in therapy since maybe seven, in and out of different therapists. Part of it was now I know, because my parents were going through a divorce, like it was court ordered,
Mm-hmm.
uh, to make sure that I was okay. And then I went to, I think something big that changed how I did therapy. I asked the therapist that I was going to in high school. I was like, how do you hear everything that people tell you all day and not like take it home? Which I think is a normal question that all therapists get asked at some point in their career.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me, you build up a wall, like you have a wall over your heart, and you make sure things don't get in.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that and I ran with it. But now that I've been doing it for a while, I've changed that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't build a wall, you build a fence.
Okay. Okay.
You build a fence because you can still see outside of the fence.
Yeah.
It still has a door,
Mm-hmm.
and you can choose when or not to open the door. But it leaves room for if you have a wall, people feel that you're blocked off.
Okay. I love that.
And and a big thing I've heard many of my different clients from all different walks say is they can feel that I care. So I
That's,
have a fence.
so are you in therapy still?
Not currently.
Mm.
Uh, I would say it's hard because you have to trust that the other therapist is on your same level and can actually teach you something that you don't know. And it's not to say that I know everything. I don't pretend to know everything. I am a forever student and I love learning. But I hold therapists to a very high regard.
I'm going to ask you a big question. So during your marital period and divorce, when you experienced a divorce, did you find a therapist who was useful to you?
I did.
What did you learn?
Um, honestly, I learned how to be a better person and a better therapist. Like I got amazing tools that I still use to this day. I got someone that I got to have fun with at the same time learn stuff and would call me on my stuff. Would absolutely call me on my stuff. And it made sense. It wasn't just you're doing this. It's like, okay, but how? Like able to come with you're doing this. Do you know you're doing this? And because you're doing this, is that tied to this? Never thought of it that way.
So do
And
you
it
use
was a lot
any
of
of those
validation.
techniques with your clients that you work with today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All the time.
If you could speak to your past self, getting deeper now, okay? I'm being a hypnotist now. The woman trembling outside your mother-in-law house, terrified to pick up her kids. What would you tell her, your past self?
So I took a training and they wanted us to write a letter to ourselves.
Ooh.
At first, I was like, you could pick which prompt you wanted, and I chose to keep it generic. But then I was like, you know what? This doesn't do me any service. So I actually did write a letter to myself. Do you want me to read it? Let
Yeah, I'd love that.
me find it real quick.
How did you know I was going to ask something like this? I didn't.
I didn't. I just had it ready.
Mm.
should have had it ready. 'Cause, mm,
A letter to your past self. That is so cool. That's a very useful thing to do.
it is, but you have to be ready for it. It takes a lot of stuff.
Energy, it takes a lot out of you.
It does.
So while you're looking for it, I will say you mentioned in one of your, well, you call it, you didn't use hobby, but I'm using the word hobby, is watching horror movies.
Hmm.
My, for me, reading and writing, those are my go-to. I I feel like I'm a kid in a candy bar, just full of candy when I'm writing and reading.
Which
So,
is great. I know after my dad died, it took a while for me to read again because that was a big thing for him and I. He made me read all the great illustrated classics when I was very young.
okay,
Mhm. And
okay.
we also used to listen to audiobooks. So I have a lot of books that I still need to read from
Hmm.
my bookshelf, but I did start listening to audiobooks again.
Okay, cool. Well, I
Especially
started
because
writing so many different pieces of transcripts. Like after my mother passed away, I started writing about the lessons I've learned from her. It's everybody who's influenced me to a point, I start writing something about them, hoping that I can share it with them before either I pass away or they pass away.
absolutely, because it feels so great to hear that you help someone, that you influence them to do things.
Yeah.
I did find it.
Okay, your turn now.
Okay. Dear self, I hope you are here to read this letter. I hope at whichever age you decide to read this again, that you have found peace. I hope it has come in an unexpected way so that you have no way of stopping it. I hope you find the love you actually deserve, not the love that you think you deserve. I hope you get to see the brilliance of your children radiate from them when they walk into any room. I hope they still choose to be around you when things are good and when they're bad. I hope you have more good days than bad days. Most of all, I hope you get to experience the true meaning of justice. You have watched and felt so much happen to you, and I hope you get to finally rest. You are loved by so many. I hope you finally unconditionally love you too. It's a future self, sorry. It wasn't
Okay,
past.
so are you there yet? Are you loving yourself to that? Have you achieved that goal?
A lot of it actually, yeah. Like this year, I can truly say I've felt more peace and been more happy than I have been in a very long time.
Amazing. I'm feeling the excitement that you're probably feeling. I'm excited about that.
Yes.
Okay, so let's transition to wisdom for others.
Mhm.
And this is a little obsession that I have. Okay, during my time at Serval Early Childhood Training Center in Port of Spain, Trinidad, I went there to learn to be trained as that was my first training, early childhood education.
Mhm.
And the curriculum there was called Spices. So I learned about spices in Trinidad. It's a framework where the S stand for spiritual, P for physical, I is intellectual, C is for creative, E is emotional, and S is for social. So this is a framework which has helped me approach life with balance and clarity. So I like to bring it up to people very often. Like if someone focuses on one area of their life and they think that area sucks, and then they start looking at the spices, I'm like, oh, it's just one area sucks, not all. Okay. So a few years ago, I decided to add the F. The F stands for finances. I'm curious, has the spices plus F lens or a similar holistic framework shaped the way you navigate challenges or growth in your personal life?
I would say subconsciously, yes. I don't sit and break them down like that,
Mhm.
but I have used that acronym minus the F with my clients. I
You
have
you have.
I have it on a piece of paper in my purse that I carry on me all the time.
So how did you learn about it?
My previous therapist.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
So no, I because it is important to know that there are so many different areas of your life and you're not stuck in this one.
See, I did not, honestly, I did not know you knew about spices plus F. Otherwise, I would not have asked you that question.
I didn't know about the F, but yes,
Well,
I know.
yeah, a few years ago, I added on the F because I realized that some people are financially literate and some people are financially illiterate. And it
Absolutely.
wasn't fitting in quite well in, I think it needed to be on its own.
Yes, absolutely.
So which
I
of the,
also,
sorry.
really quick, I use that same concept with trust. So
Oh,
because I work with a lot of people with DV, um, I've done couples counseling, family counseling, and I talk to them about when you say you don't trust someone, you don't actually realize how many different ways that you do trust them. So I have people break down the different ways that they do trust someone. Like in
yes,
an intimate relationship,
yes.
you, like, let's say a partner cheated. So that part is broken. You still trust them to drive you in a car and not kill you.
Yep.
Trust them to come home to you at night. You trust them to bring money home at night. You trust them to cook for you. You trust them for. So when you break down trust, you see it's not just completely and totally broken,
Mm.
but there are things in there that you can use to build towards the trust that you're lacking.
Okay, I'm gonna add something as that I always my brain always go to is the degrees of trust. So
Yes.
the degree on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, well, it's a solution focused technique. I like to break down each one like the S, how satisfied are you with spirituality or which on a degrees of 1 to 10. So which one of these areas would you say you go to most?
I would say for a long time it was the social one. Because, like I mentioned, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my friends. So I depended on my friends a lot.
How would you rate it? Sorry, I'm
10.
not yet.
10. Absolutely a 10. Absolutely a 10. And it's not because I like being around people. It's not a I'm a social person type thing, but it's the people closest to me. Like I care about them and it would hurt me when I wouldn't talk to them. But recently I did lose one of my best friends, not to death or anything, but just a big thing happened. So we're not friends like we used to be.
That
And
hurts.
it hurts so bad for so long. And of course, the initial thought, especially when you're dealing with someone who has trauma, is what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Um, but breaking it down, I didn't do anything wrong. So it devastated me. And it also taught me that I need to have more of the other things too. So I've learned how to not solely depend on one area or one person.
So which area are you focusing on increasing right now?
Right now, mm, emotional.
Emotional. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So can you share a moment when one of these dimensions, whether spiritual, physical, intellectual, creative, emotional, whichever area, became a lifeline for you?
I'm gonna say that that's social. When I still had to pick up my children for his mother's house, when I was in the depths of pain, I would call my friend from the time I got in the car to after I had the kids in the car to make sure I was good so that my kids didn't see me have those panic attacks, even when there were different events, like because my kids are active. So had to go to the school for things, I would always make sure he was invited. Even though we had a no contact order, like I made sure these are still your kids and you still have the right to be around them. Like we had a certain amount of feet we're supposed to be apart. It wasn't worth it to me for them to not be able to see him
Mhm.
at their stuff. Like that's the whole reason I moved closer so that they all could still be there for the kids.
Mhm.
So I would be on the phone with my friend for the entire time. And I don't, no matter what they had going on, they sat on that phone with me and we talked for hours to
Right.
make sure I was good, to make
Right.
sure like Oh, he stepped a little too close. I'm like, okay, let's focus on something. Let's breathe. We're gonna look around, start talking about something random, and then nervous system is down.
Yes.
A whole lot of I needed them then,
Mm-hmm.
and I depended on them a lot. And they absolutely rose to the occasion. Like I never felt like I was being a burden to them.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
going to ask you a question that people who are not, who doesn't have your background might be wondering. You
Mm.
mentioned panic attack. How could a therapist who is so experienced and so skilled and knowledgeable and educated have a panic attack?
Because I'm human. That is the short, simple answer that I tell all people. I am not immune. I am not always a therapist. I am not sitting on the couch in front of other people. Things happen to me and I react. A panic attack, for me, my panic attacks have happened when I know I have to be okay and something shocks me out of that state
Yes.
and everything feels out of control.
You know what? When you mentioned that, that reminded me of a few years ago when I was on my way back from Las Vegas from a hypnosis conference, and I've just learned all these amazing new techniques. And honestly, I don't like flying. It's one of the and I'm there said, okay, I'm not gonna be scared when we get these bumps. I'm just gonna put myself in a hypnotic trance and somebody all relax and everything. And then I was relaxed for a long time. Then the air hostess came and bumped her cat with the stuff right into my chair and made this loud booms. I thought the plane was crashing. So yeah, I
Mhm.
I had a panic attack right there.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think it took me even after I realized it wasn't a disaster, it was just her accident. It took me a while to actually catch back myself and get back to feeling cool again. Then I realized if I'm flying, I don't want to be in any relaxation phase. I want to be alert to know what's going on. Because when you're aware what's going on, you can say, oh, it was just that happening. But if you're so relaxed and you're not paying attention to what's going on, it's very easy to to get a panic attack.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that makes sense.
But we're
Okay.
human. Like we
Yeah,
are not always therapists.
yeah, I know. So I'm gonna ask you this theory that I found myself obsessed with when I was working on my dissertation. I found myself obsessed with this theory about fight, flight, and then freeze. And then lately, when I studied anxiety in depth, I learned about well, first it was just fight and flight.
Mhm.
Then I learned about the freeze a few years afterwards. Well, I've decided to add fabulous to it. Okay. So anyhow, I'll discuss that one another time. But do you believe in the fight, flight, freeze response to stress that it applies to grieving?
Um, yes, absolutely. Recently I had a client on my couch. They found out that their child was sexually assaulted by another family member. And they were talking about how in that moment, like they didn't just beat up the person that told them. And I was like, well, natural reactions to stress include fight, flight, freeze. I mean, I know now they talk about fawn. Fawn is in there too. Um, but freeze does not get as much credit as it should,
Correct.
and it doesn't get accurate whole description.
Mm-hmm.
Freeze doesn't always just mean your body's frozen. When
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about sexual assault, 88% of victims freeze, and that's also called tonic immobility. But when we're talking about day-to-day stuff, freeze may not mean your body stays still. It just means you aren't able to freely do.
Mm-hmm.
In that moment, she was in shock. Like we call that being in shock. Sitting there, getting all this information, dissociating,
Mm-hmm.
and not being physically present. Like I'm sorry, not being mentally present. You're physically present, but you're not mentally present. So when you're talking about grief, it genuinely can hurt to exist in a place where you're hurt, where your pain can't be fixed, can't be helped. So your body will hold there to give your brain will hold there to give your body a chance to catch up.
Mhm.
So
Do you
it
have an
helps.
automatic one that you found yourself responding to during domestic violence?
Domestic violence or sexual assault?
No, I'm switching to domestic violence now. I'm messing with your brain now.
Um, I froze a lot.
You
I froze
froze
a
up.
lot.
Okay.
When I was younger, like with my dad, he was a yeller. So I learned how to, honestly, from both my parents in two different ways. My dad was a yeller and my mom was a talker. And when I would try to talk to my mom, like actually hold that conversation, we go back and forth, I noticed that the conversations would end up longer. So I learned if I stayed quiet, then they could end faster. Not hugely amount of difference faster, but just faster. And my dad, you learn to shut up because there's an overpowering thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think because of both of those things, I learned to shut up. So when things were happening in my marriage, I shut up.
Mm-hmm.
I sat there. It wasn't that I just took it, but I couldn't think of a safe way to respond. Like sometimes fight did come out, but my fight was my mouth. My fight was I'm saying something slick. I'm a person that does not hit below the belt, so I didn't do that. But I would argue back and forth. Like we would get into verbal altercations. Like um, but a lot of my responses were phrase.
So what would cause you to act like a turtle and hide?
For a long time, it was volume. So he is a naturally loud person. So I also had to learn right now he's not mad at me. He's just passionate about something or he's just excited.
Okay.
Each time, because of who my dad was, each time voice got over a certain decibel, I would retreat. I
Mm-hmm.
would stop talking. I wouldn't not move, but I wouldn't say anything.
Okay. So today,
Mhm.
how would you describe your go-to for stress? Fight, flight, or freeze?
Mm, it depends on the stress.
I was gonna say, if you don't say it depends on the stress, I'm gonna say you're getting an F now.
It depends on the stress.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Interesting. Now you've read so many books. You are so knowledgeable. Is there a book, quote, or resource you often recommend to those grieving or dealing with domestic violence? I'm marrying two topics at the same time, as you can tell.
I don't have a book for grief. I do talk to people about The Body Keeps the Score, and if I'm being really, really honest, I haven't read it yet. Um, being really honest. It's on my list. It's on my list.
That's funny.
But The Body Keeps the Score, I do tell people about that one. When it comes down to domestic violence, though, not in a way of victim blaming, but when people feel like they're in a place where they want to start dating again,
Mhm.
there's a book called I just lost it. How to Avoid Dating a Jerk,
Oh, let me write down that book. That's a nice name. How to
right?
avoid being a jerk.
No, dating a jerk.
Oh, okay. How to avoid. Hmm.
And actually, ironically, one of my clients gave me that book, and that client happened to be a male.
Was he
He,
a, was he a, okay, I shouldn't ask that.
well, I got that client came from when I was working at my domestic violence agency. So it was a male and brought me the book and was like, read this. And I was like, okay, stuck it on the shelf. But they're like, did you read it? I'm like, no. And I don't like disappointing my clients. So one day I opened it and I was like, oh, this is interesting. I dissected that book to the point where I had a notebook next to me while I'm reading the book and I took detailed notes that I still have.
Okay.
And I use many of those things. Like the biggest thing I would say was my takeaway from it, at least initially,
Mm-hmm.
uh, was the level of communication that you should be at. There's four levels of communication. You should not be on level four on date two. You need to build.
I'm going to have to order that book.
Yes.
Definitely.
There's actually a follow-up to it called How to Avoid Marrying a Jerk. I haven't
Oh
read that
my
one,
gosh.
but there is a follow-up.
That's funny. I'm gonna buy this book. Yep. All right. So where can people find you if they'd like to learn more about you and the work that you're doing?
So currently I work at Imperium Psychiatric Group. We are based in Katy, Texas. We're actually expanding as of lately. We have different virtual locations in San Antonio, Dallas, the Woodlands. I think those are the only virtual locations. I might be missing one. Oh, I forgot the name of the other one. But we're also expanding into Florida.
Oh,
So I'm licensed still to practice in Oklahoma, but and Texas, obviously, but I will also be licensed to tex practice in Florida as well
I
soon.
must admit that I was disappointed when you left Oklahoma because um, Oklahoma need you more than Texas. It's not fair.
And does.
They robbed Texas robbed stole you from Oklahoma. It's not fair.
And my kids honestly ask me to go back all the time.
They should. They should
They
continue.
all the time. If they could right now, if I called each of them and was like, we're going back to Oklahoma, they would be so happy.
Yes, I agree with them. What's one piece of hope or wisdom you leave with our listeners today?
So I heard this again, I'm a quote person. There's a couple quotes I want to leave. When I was going through my journey, doing different trainings for domestic violence, this one lady who's made a lot of headway into the way domestic violence is done with the criminal justice system. She said, first we are the victim, then we are the survivor, and then we become the teacher.
Ah, I love that.
And I've been through each stage,
Yes.
but just like the stages of grief, you're not stagnant at one, and you don't have to do one to graduate to the other. But I get a lot of questions from my clients about talking about their stuff. And something I tell every single one of them, this is your story. You get to decide who hears it. You get to decide how it gets out because it's yours. You don't, especially coming from a place where you've lost power and control, you get to hold on to the things that you do have power and control over, mostly just control over. And your story is for sure one of them. You don't have to heal out loud to heal. And healing looks so much different from everyone. I speak out loud. I say these things out loud. Like I'm a tattoo person. So most of my tattoos are mental health based, domestic violence based, sexual assault based, because I want my body to be an advocate as I'm walking. When you see the big teal ribbon on me, know it. Know that you're not alone. When you see the domestic violence stuff, know that you're not alone. Like I have Me Too also tattooed in Japanese. Know that you're not alone.
Mhm.
Just because I say it that out loud, like I post things on my Facebook, I post things on my other social medias, and I do it because I also get those messages. Thank you for saying something. I'm this too. And his mother actually said, you need to stop putting all your business out online. And I don't put all of my business, but the things that matter that I know can help other people, I will. But
Mhm.
everybody isn't meant to do that. People
Correct.
can tell their stories in different ways too. Like I give details about my stuff. Some people tell it in poetry. Some people tell it in
Music.
pictures, in
Even
music.
music. Yeah. Yeah. All the
And
stars.
and how you share it is yours. But you, again, the biggest thing, you don't have to share out loud.
Correct.
Like you can get the tools and use it for yourself.
Mhm.
You can get the tools and use it to the people around you, but not even directly. Just
Mhm.
listening to someone is so much bigger than people give it credit for. Listen. People don't always get that opportunity to be heard.
Well, I love listening to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shanti, for sharing such profound insight on grief and domestic violence and loss and coping skills and how you cope. Your perspective is invaluable, and I know our listeners will take away a lot of wisdom from this in-depth conversation. To everyone listening, thank you very much for joining us today. Is there any final statement you want to make?
Not just, well, yes. I guess I would just say you are not alone. No matter what you're going through, you're not alone. There is someone They may not understand what you're going through, but someone willing to listen so that you can hold hands while
Mhm.
you're walking through the darkness. And for the people who want to help others, you don't always have to make someone feel better. Sometimes we just need to know that you can see the darkness too, and you'll just sit there with me and not try to find the light.
Well said. Thank you very much. I really, really enjoyed this conversation. I'm looking forward to it. A part three. I'm looking forward to part three.
Me
Yeah. Join me again next time on this radio station for unraveling relationships, emotions, and desires. Remember, life isn't just about fight, flight, or freeze. It's about finding your fabulous. Until next time, let's keep unraveling the extraordinary. Shanti, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you too.